Welcome back to all my 40K fanatics out there, and a special thank you to the Cronies who sent me some beautiful pictures of the models in their collection that I could use in the making of this video. Recently, I asked on Facebook for pictures of very specific models that I wanted to feature in a video that I was going to title New Year, New You, a retrospective look at the Necrons and some of the units that could use a New Year approach to their data slate. With Arc of Omens looming in the corner, some of these units may actually have gotten some improvements, so my opinion has changed on a couple of them. However, even with the point drops, there's not enough to fix some of their data slates. With that being said, I'm going to feature my top 5 units that I feel could use a New Year, New You approach in the coming editions. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do. Click the bell for notifications so you can be notified when I post more content such as this. And please like, share, and subscribe. It helps me a long way. We're a young channel growing and looking to grow really quick. With that being said, let's move on to the 5 Necron units that deserve a New Year, New You approach. Number 5, Citan, Shard of the Deceiver. Out of all the named Citans, the Deceiver is the one that probably needs the most love. He doesn't have the combat power that the Void Dragon or the Nightbringer brings, and his unique ability to pull units off the table and put them in strategic is getting significantly weaker, with strategic reserves now costing no CP and flyers being forced into there. Now, mind you, you can use his ability at the beginning of the battle round, before the first battle round, to put units in reserve after you know who's going to go first. And while it's still good, is that 300 points good? I don't personally really think so. His unique Citan power is cool if you can roll hot, or if you have some negative leadership modifiers to drop your opponent's leadership down to a way to do a lot of mortal wounds. All in all, the Citan Shard, the Deceiver, is probably the weakest of the named Citans, and if you're going to invest the points, it's still probably better to go with the Nightbringer, the Void Dragon, or even the Transcendent Citan. Number 4, the Canoptic Reanimator. This guy has had his points dropped multiple times, and I still don't think it's enough. I feel like he's still too vulnerable with his toughness 5 and 6 wounds. It makes it very difficult to keep him alive. Once your opponent knows what he does and sees your 20-man brick of warriors, it's usually more efficient to try to remove the Reanimator before touching the warriors, unless you can sweep all of the warriors from 20 to 0 in one go. The Canoptic Reanimator is tall, and it doesn't come in a unit. I personally think that a mechanic that might allow it to have a Lookout Sir type effect, that a 20-man warrior squad would need to be nearby, or something of that nature that would allow him to have survivability to get past turn 1 would be great. Also, the reanimation beam doesn't trigger until into your turn. Now, there is a 2 command point strat that can allow you to target one of your units during your opponent's turn, but even with Arc of Omens making detachments cheaper with just having 1 detachment in the Arc of Omens, 2 command points is steep that early in the game when there might be other things that you need to spend that on, such as interrupting an assault phase to prevent something like your Scorpex from getting swept. The Reanimator is a cool model. It's a cool concept. I think that he needs a new data sheet, and maybe in a newer codex, we could see him see some play and really be a dominant force on the table. Number 3, all of the Necron named characters except for the Silent King and Anakar the Traveler. So some of the Necron special characters do have some homes and could see some play. Xandrak's ability to shut down a stratagem could be huge and game-breaking, especially in a CP-starved environment. However, the Sautek dynasty is extremely weak, and it makes it very difficult to play these guys when the rest of your army is going to suffer, all so that you have a once-per-game character effect. Doesn't really have that much of a payoff. The 2 that I really want to focus on is 1, Luminar Xeris, and 2, Trazyn. Luminar Xeris is an awesome new model, and there may be some argument that he has play because he's a dynastic agent. He can heal twice. He can boost your warriors and other core units with giving them +1 strength, +1 toughness, or make them +1 to hit. However, that effect is random, And you'll find more times than not, you end up giving the wrong buff to the wrong unit, and you don't get your toughness 5 Necron warriors like you would love. On top of that, he can't take relics, he can't take a good warlord trait, so technomancers usually fill that role better. When you start paying for his points, you're in a better position just to take 2 technomancers. Also, he does not get to do the dynastic advisory of the royal court, so he doesn't count as one of your free cryptechs, so you could take more of them. All in all, the Technomancer still surpasses him, and I think that he needs something new because his model looks great, and I'd love to get him on the table. As for Trazen, why GW? Why? He doesn't do anything that an Overlord can do except for kill off one of your characters to come back. This would be cool if he had some unique ability that was going on the table and continuing throughout the game, but he doesn't, and therefore you're losing possibly more valuable relics or warlord traits to bring him back. Luckily, this is a May option, so he doesn't automatically pop and destroy your guys. But with the following that Trazen has, and especially some of his film debuts on GW's Warhammer Plus, you would think that he would have a better data slate to better reflect this. Well, maybe next Codex, guys. Number 2, the Tesseract Vault. I get it. It's an expensive model. It's a Lord of War. They don't necessarily need to be competitive. But this one looks really, really, really cool. And I really want to play mine. But it has a toughness 7 and no combat profile. If you gave this thing a weapon skill of a 4-up, then you at least could tag into the 2 CP strat to allow it to ignore all invulnerable saves. That would give it something. On top of this, again, it's toughness 7. Personally, this is a C-tan. I would love to see this have a wound cap, maybe 10 wounds, so it still takes 3 phases to take it out at its 30 wounds, but with toughness 7, no phase cap, the giant size of this model, and the fact that it really doesn't have that reliable of damage output. Granted, 3 C-tan powers can dish out a lot of mortal wounds, and it buffs those same C-tan powers to a higher level. It's still not very reliable when it's targeting the closest enemy unit and not giving you the choice of what you want to hit. All in all, I'd love to see the C-tan get some love in this new year, but it's going to have to come into the data slate. It's going to need to either have a wound cap of maybe 10, or a better gun, or more C-tan powers, or a combat profile, something to allow it to do a little more damage to make its point and cost and size worthwhile. And coming in at number 1, the Necron Monolith. I'm probably going to catch some heat for this one. How is it that the Necron Monolith is the worst unit in the Necron Codex? To be fair, I'm not saying it's the worst unit in the Necron Codex. What I'm saying is it is one of the units that could use the biggest new you approach to it. Necron Monolith has an amazing combat profile. 6 attacks that auto hit, that's great. Especially from a flying pyramid. I love describing the thing and looking at it and going, this model is really good in close combat. They look at it and go, how is that pyramid going to destroy my unit in combat? Well, with its Portal of Exile, sucking guys through and just ripping them apart. And its guns are good. The Gauze Flare is fine. The Death Rays are fine. The Particle Whip is fine. Everything about it is perfectly fine, except when you get down to the bottom of its data slate. And if you look in the keyword sections, it's missing one very important keyword. Now, the Monolith has hovering, which means that you measure to the base or the hull, whichever's closer, but it doesn't fly. This makes it that on even a medium covered terrain table, there's a good chance a Monolith's not going anywhere. And in a competitive format, he's never going to get around buildings and pretty much going to be pinned into your deployment zone for the majority of the game. Not having fly is a huge disadvantage for this model. Why I rank this thing at number 1 is for one reason only. The Monolith is one of the most, if not, I would say Necron Warriors are the most iconic units in the Necron book. the skeletons. That's what people mostly associate with it. But if you look at Necrons, one of the biggest things that pops up in all their imagery is the monolith. So it just kind of breaks your heart to see that this thing really can't be played, not because, oh, it's not competitive or it's not as strong as an Imperial Knight or this or that to be able to play in a tournament, but the fact that when you go and play at your buddy's house on his nice, well covered terrain table, this vehicle is not going to be able to move through it. So I feel like that's just harsh to do to this. So iconic, such a beautiful model. They gave it a facelift with a new kit, and the new kit looks great. I have one, and it just can't really function on the table well. Giving this model fly would be a great way to fix it. On top of the fact that, and this might be the video gamer in me, maybe a once per game ability to teleport from your side of the field to somewhere else on the map. It's its own personal veil of darkness or a shunt move for Grey Knight logic. So it's just, I want to see the monolith do more, be playable just on a fun scale. Not being able to fly means that it gets frustrating when this thing runs into a wall and can't go anywhere else. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate all the support I've gotten so far. Just past 100 subscribers. The journey's only begun. I can't wait to see how much this can grow and all the fun stuff that I'm going to be able to do on the channel and bring to you guys and conversations and everything. Those of you in the area, I will be out at the Shop Game Shop on January 21st. Sam Dayton asked me to record the Game 1 of his RGT, which is going to be a primer for the Las Vegas Open. If you haven't subscribed already to the channel, please do and turn on notifications, like, share, and catch you on the next video. Thank you again.